Hey you freaks of the field. Today it's a gorgeously overcast, cold November afternoon and I'm ready to go hunting. I've seen big bucks finally start showing up and I've loaded with hogs here in Oklahoma. But something came in today that I have to share with you because I think, to my knowledge, I might be the first one to get one of these things, and it's a TenPoint Nitro 505. You heard that right, that's 505 feet per second. Now back in the day, 300 feet was pretty good, then it went to 350, 360, 380, 375, some broke 400. A couple of them out there now are like 450. Well, this is 505. That is crazy kinetic energy. That's, if you have a big enough, a heavy enough arrow and broadhead, that's like more energy, more kinetic energy than some 380 automatics, than some handguns. Now, I don't know if you need all that energy. You certainly don't for most whitetails, but still, that means at range, you could get more power. But sometimes things happen when you get so much energy that the bow can fall apart because there's so much energy going through it, and also they cannot be the most accurate. So today, my quest is to see and review this new Nitro 505, see if it's accurate, actually test and see if that's legit on the 505. Then I'm gonna go out, if I can do this thing fast, I'm not gonna go through every spec, I'm gonna give it an overview, then I'm gonna take this baby hunting. So here we go, this is the unboxing right now, and please humor me. I've never seen this bow, never laid eyes on it. I don't even think it's on the website now, so I really know nothing about it. But I'm gonna set it up in real time and see how long it takes. Now I've just gotta stop running my big mouth. All right, just like most TenPoints, you can see it doesn't even have the full packaging because I don't even think that's ready. But like most TenPoints, oh, dropped something. It's packaged just similarly to all the rest of them. What I drop over here. All right, there's the Quiver assembly, the holder, which I love TenPoint's method for attaching the quivers. And here it is. So far, it looks very similar to most of the TenPoint crossbows in that, it's pretty similar setup. I can see it has the AccuSlide cocker, it's polymer body and frame, machined aluminum barrel of course, but then it's got the reverse draw technology that's so efficient and effective. And then I guess it's just beefed up limbs. The cams don't even look that extraordinary. So, when you first look at it, it's kind of hard for me to believe how this baby could shoot 505, but we're gonna see. I do like that green color. That's pretty cool, but all in all, there's honestly not that much different about it by first look. So I was told that it has a new and improved, basically a strengthened or beefened knock system. It's the same style of knock that the other TenPoints use. It's just beefier, so there's more plastic there. You can use these beefier knocks on older TenPoints, but you can't use the older, weaker knocks on this new one, and that's what I was told. So, interesting difference. I've got 6 arrows here. That's good because I'm a moron and I usually lose about 5 of them before I get done sighting in the thing. Let's see, it's got a quiver, pretty standard stuff, and then it's got a scope, and like I always say, these scopes are a bonus. You should view them as such. They're not the best scopes in the world, although this one immediately definitely feels heavier. It definitely feels a little beefier. It almost, maybe Hawk or a reputable company makes this one. Generally, I say either give the thing to your kid and hope he breaks it on his BB gun, or throw it in the toilet or use it for a decoy anchor and get a good scope, like even a low-end loophole. But I'm gonna give this a try. They did upgrade. It's called an Evo, but this is made by Hawk Optics, and Hawk is a huge step up from some of the no-name Chinese optics. It's really a better scope. Is it the best in the world? No, but it's pretty cool. One thing, it has this adjustment ring, and don't be fooled when this has the speed on it. All that is on all scopes, you're just adjusting the magnification on a second focal plane scope like this. It just adjusts the distance between your subtensions or your steady lines or hash marks where you shoot your ballistic lines. That's just, you know, on a second focal plane scope, as you dial the power, it's changing the relationship from those lines and your target, so it's making them wider. This happens to be, I found out the correct balance where if I sight in for 20 yards, the rest of them were exactly on, and that's right a little bit over 500. That's like 505. And then to adjust this thing, you actually push it forward, and then you can turn it. Then you push it backwards, and that's a lock. And that's a cool feature, because otherwise, you know, you could get out there in the morning and not realize that your power ring had shifted or got bumped, and then you're out of luck if you try to use your ballistic reticle. So that's a cool feature on the scope. It's got target turrets, but it's cool because you have to pull them up to adjust them. So I've already got this thing zeroed. I zeroed it out, and that's a cool feature because you can always see there where it is. It's also got illumination. Again, they really made an improvement on the Hawk optic here, and I give them kudos. All right, so really one of the things you're paying for with TenPoints is the setup. Really, you only have to do two things, and that's install the scope. The neat thing about this is it's ready to go. You know, the rings and bases, or the rings are already on the scope and already tightened, and then you just hand tighten it and then just tweak it a little bit with the wrench on the Picatinny rail, and it's already fitted. The benefit of the TenPoint is they're supposed to, and so far all of my tested have, come in bore-sighted. So somebody actually at the factory had this scope on it, and they actually tested it. I just want to check for eye relief, and then they took it off, and that's how they shipped it. That's a little bit close to my eye, so I'm gonna back it up just a hair. So unlike most other crossbows that you have to put the rings on, the bases on, everything, this is just very simple. You can use an Allen wrench or a wrench because you can put it right through the holes right there in the nut. And again, I tell people it's not a mystery. You don't need a torque wrench, but you also don't need to be a gorilla either. Come on, man. Just a little bit of tension. Scopes on, that was easy. And I don't think I'm gonna waste your time or mine putting on the Quiver. And the Quiver is just a neat system. It's metal, not plastic. This bow is set up. All I have to do, it's like all the other AccuSlides. I love it, but this system, at least your little cocking handle is stashed up there where it fits integrally in the stock. And because, again, I lose shit all the time, I keep a spare one handy. But this is a better system than normal. It telescopes out for more leverage. Make sure it clicks on the string. Also, one key thing about long-range crossbow shooting, you want to make sure this clicks on the string in the exact same position on the string every time. So make sure that clicks. Then you can pull out. Okay, once you cock it and you can hear it, you're supposed to reverse about 3 cranks back to take that sled off tension. And now, the bow is set up, so now I just have to zero and make sure that scope is on, but look how incredibly narrow that thing is. Things are getting just more and more rifle-like the whole time. So I'm just gonna, hey dog, it's my neighbor Fish's dog, his miserable dog. Hey, it's special delivery. So these things are getting more rifle-like each time. I'm just gonna put a sling on it. Can do that really quickly. And then I like to put what I call a possibles pouch for rifle shooting here. It just keeps maybe some field points, an extra broadhead, etc. in there if you want it. I'm also, I wish this had the lighted nocks, but it does not. But again, these are these beefed up, robust nocks. So a lot of time with those speeds that they say, that's assuming you're using a 100-grain broadhead. But I'm telling you folks, I've done too many tests, seen too much data. You should use a heavier broadhead with this thing. Now, what do you use? So here are the severed broadheads. They are not cheap, but they are stainless steel. Some of them are titanium. You can get both. This is a 2-inch cut, but why I like it for the crossbow, it's 150 grains. There's another reason I really like it for the crossbow. You can take the screw, and it comes with 2, and you can put that second screw, the second nut, through there, and then it locks the blades in place to where it becomes a practice blade. And you really need to sight in your crossbow with broadheads, even if they're mechanicals. Don't let the marketing hype fool you. They do fly differently. I mean, they're just a different head. They do fly differently than your field points. So I love it that you can practice with these. You can even exchange the blades. They're just really robust head, hence robusto. First of all, this stirrup was valuable in the old days when you had to put a boot through the stirrup, then bend down, pull the string, and then instantly have a hernia. Well, those days, thank God, are over. So this stirrup, it does go, you know, to give somewhere for the crossbow to rest, although that's plastic there. And it also, if you had a longer arrow, could protect your broadhead, but I just don't really think you need it. And so I'm gonna take that off. There's just 2 little Allen screws there. So I'm gonna get rid of that, get it out of my sight, and then I'm gonna take some measurements. So overall, 505 is 30.5 inches without the stirrup. That's incredibly short. The shorter they are, more compact, the easier to carry, and the easier they are to hunt with. And then significantly, when cocked, which is how they should be measured, because you never hunt with a decocked crossbow unless you plan on not killing anything. Where companies take the measurement is bullshit. They do axle to axle, axle to axle, but axle to axle, and TenPoint gets probably upset with me for saying this because it's no fair that I'm picking on them, but axle to axle, as you can see, yes, it's 6 inches, but that means nothing. What matters to hunters is the widest point. Normally that's cam edge to cam edge on most bows, but this baby is coiled so tight that the widest overall point, 10.25. That is incredibly narrow, and you know, again, it just feels so light and easy to even sling over your shoulder. So 10.25 overall, 6-inch, axle to axle. Okay, testing the Nitro 505. The first thing I want to test, of course, is the feet per second. Does it live up to their claims? But gets a little complicated here. Their claims the 505 use a 400 grain arrow, but I'm getting ready to hunt today and I don't like those light arrows. I love the kinetic energy you get with a heavier arrow. So I'm using the center punch with the heavier nocks that this Nitro 505 takes. These average out to 460. So it's obviously gonna be a little bit slower, but I'm hoping 60 grains is a big deal in archery, so I'm hoping that's probably 25 feet per second less, so I'm hoping to get in the 475 ballpark. Still, with the 460 grainer, that's tremendous energy. So I'm gonna use my lab radar here to test feet per second. I wanna test the trigger real quick with my pull gauge. I wanna test my non-laboratory quality digital sound level meter just to see, and then I want to test accuracy, and I'm going to try to get out to 100 yards with this thing, and then I'm going to calculate the energy based on whatever this lab radar shows in my arrow weight. Also, when I'm getting out there in my final sight into 100 yards, I'm going to switch to 150 grain broadhead, and I'm going to use a sever. Now, say what you will about mechanicals, I've actually gone kind of away from mechanicals, except for some of these crossbows that are so powerful, because the sever, it won't wind plane like a fixed blade broadhead because the blades are in, and it's 150 grains, and they didn't just throw some more weight on there. They actually beefed up those blades. So if you hit something with a 500 foot per second crossbow, I mean, can that broadhead survive it? So I love the fact that the severs really beefed up their product, and I think it's probably the perfect broadhead for some of these ultra fast crossbows. All right, this is the 460 grain arrow. Take one. 477, so with this 460 grain arrow, that's about what I was hoping for. That is just tremendous with this weight. .473, so we're at a 475 average, which is great.
In BullShooters, I pride myself on being accurate with facts and stats to deliver to you, the listener, so you can make the best decisions on what to purchase. When I tested this bow, I was getting really good numbers. In fact, some of the best numbers of any crossbow ever in the history of modern crossbows. I was getting 475 feet per second with the 460 grain arrow, which again is phenomenal. But just to double check, because sometimes chronographs can be wrong, especially this is a new lap radar that I just set up, and I wanted to verify, so I called the PR agent that represents TenPoint, who's a friend of mine. He said that that number sounded a little low, and then he requested the serial number of this bow, so I sent it to him. He sent it to the factory, and because this is a prototype, they had specific numbers on each bow they tested. He told me that it was 494, so now I'm in a dilemma. Do I use and report my number, 475 with the 460 grain arrow, or do I report theirs 494, and I believe it was actually a 450 grain arrow that they used? Again, this is splitting hairs because it's ridiculously fast and powerful enough anyway, but I want to report the truth. So I asked him to record a video of him testing the bow just so I could verify, and I'm not just blindly taking the manufacturer's word, because of course manufacturers like to pump their numbers sometimes. And so he sent me the video, and this is what it is. So I'm still sticking by my number, but it could be wrong with the lab radar. This is the number he got, and I just wanted to deliver you that truth. I didn't have access to the 400 grain arrow with the fortified nock, so I also had to depend on my buddy for this video too. Here you can clearly see that the crossbow shoots an incredible 509 feet per second with the 400 grainer. This tops anything that I've ever heard about, and to my knowledge is the fastest, most powerful crossbow currently on the market.
Get out of here, cat. I just walked out there and it measured the speed of me, and I was 189. That's pretty fast. Because the cat was only like 130, so I'm quicker than a cat. We're gonna measure two things. Gonna measure my digital sound meter, and you can't even get these in laboratories because they're too good. I mean, they're just too expensive to really be able to afford for the professionals, but here at BullShooters, this is what we use. I say it every time, and I'm going to continue to say it, but a good trigger is key for accurate crossbow shooting, because your follow through, your lock time from the moment you pull the trigger to when your arrow actually comes off the barrel and you quit imparting influence on it is hugely critical. It's like shooting a flintlock muzzleloader like that. And the better your trigger, the less likely you are to move that crossbow as the arrow is moving off of it, and so your better accuracy potential. So 4 pounds even, or it's 4.06. Unbelievable. You know, a 4-pound trigger in a crossbow used to just be unheard of. You know, that's getting in there like a rifle trigger, but that's great. Decibels 109. That's at the upper end of some crossbows I've tested, but it's pretty understandable when you have the speed of this thing. I mean, it's still limbs driving that arrow forward, and the more power there, the more vibrations and the louder it's going to be. So now, in finishing out my sighting in and testing, I'm going to go to Broadheads, and you can see that it's going to be a heavy arrow here. 150 or a little more than that grain. So together, when I take off this 100 grain head, yep, so this is over a 500 grain broadhead, which combined with this speed is gonna put this off the chart in kinetic energy, and probably overkill for whitetails, but there's no such thing as overkill. We like to kill them deader than hell. And my cat is on the target. And we're gonna have some cat lovers just, I mean, really screaming bloody cat murder if I accidentally. I would never shoot old Willis. Willis! Willis, you fine, sexy beast. Willis! All right, 20 yards. I'm gonna aim at You know what, we're skipping 20. We're gonna go to 30. See the red target down there? All right, 40 yards. All right, I made a slight adjustment. 40 yards, take 2. All right, since we're in a different class of crossbow, I'm gonna do a different standard for testing. I've got a target at 60 yards down there. I'm gonna do a 3-shot group with broadheads. In the old days, if your crossbow was like 5 inches at 60 yards with broadheads, it would be something. We're gonna see, because I don't wanna tear up my arrows, I'm gonna take a Sharpie. First arrow mark, this is second at 60 yards for accuracy. Oh, that's like 1.5 inches, I can see it. Come on. It's 60 yards, I'm getting a little bit of wind drift to the right. That's why I'm not in the bullseye. First shot there. Second shot. So this is my 3rd shot at 60 yards with broadheads. Yeah, baby. So what I typically do then is shoot 5 more groups and take an average. But again, this is just one, and I wanted to show you what it'll do. Eventually I'll shoot more groups, take an average, but I'm looking forward to going hunting right now. It's whitetail rut in Oklahoma. Right there. All right. So, first 3 shots, what you do is you measure the farthest, the furthest 2 points. And so, center to center is exactly, look at that, that's exactly 2 inches. That is a freaking 2-inch group at 60 yards with broadheads the first time I've done it. That's ridiculous. All right, I haven't shot at 80 yards yet. And it takes a leap of faith because you have to trust that my scope is right. I'm gonna skip 70, trust that it's right for 80. If it's not right, I'm gonna lose this arrow. But I'm also gonna fire up the lab radar because I wanna see what these 150 grain heads at with the 508 or 510 grain arrow register. That way I can calculate the kinetic energy and I can see if an 80-yard shot, whether it's ethical is your call, but I can just tell you what the energy is going to be. So here we go, 80 yards, broadheads. So look at this, 453 with a 508 grain arrow. So again, I noticed on the 60 yard, I'm drifting over just a little bit because there's a slight breeze, but that's first shot at 80 yards. That's ridiculous. All right, going back to 100. Last shot, 80 was right on. Definitely deer killing because I haven't even adjusted at all. I'm just using the scope. 100 yards, TenPoint Nitro 505 with several 150 grain broadheads. Got the lab radar rolling. Let's do it. One shot. Let's see if this would kill an animal. You see the target way out there, 100. And I'm definitely gonna have to give her a little windage, okay, and a little elevation. All right, 100 yards, here we go. I saw it drifted a little bit low, but that's okay. I just ran 100 yards and back. That's 200 yards. I've been drinking too much beer for that. Anyway, at 80 yards, it was on with the scope, but 100, it dropped about 6 inches low, and that's because the scope ballistic reticle system is not set up for 150 grain heads. So my second shot, I'm gonna aim about 6 inches high, see if I can drop one in the bulls and kill a deer. Follow me. We should use the drone for this order. So not too shabby for my second shot ever with this bow at 100 yards. I was aiming about right here. There's a tiny bit of wind, so I'm not surprised there, but if I took 2 or 3 more shots and dialed it in, I could easily dial it there. unbelievable. It's still shooting 450 feet per second with these 510 grain arrows with broadheads. It's unfreaking believable. Technology in crossbows has come such a long way, and this 505 Nitro is really leading the way at the top of the pack. That's crazy. So the sun's getting down. I was out here testing and shooting longer than I wanted to, but come on, let's go get in a blind. We can get the final hour in an Oklahoma tree stand with this 505. So I wanted to give the true test of a crossbow, and that is to plug something with it, preferably a giant 180-inch whitetail. That didn't happen. In fact, I didn't even see a doe, and I didn't even see a hog. But I did get the numbers on the crossbow, and it tests pretty darn good. In fact, it's one of the best ever made as far as technology, as far as speed, accuracy, everything combined is just unreal. So I didn't get an animal, but I do have a definitive answer about this crossbow, and it's one of the best power-wise. Great job by TenPoint. By the way, the reason I test TenPoints and not everything else is because TenPoints send them to me. So I'd sure like to test some of the top-end Ravens, but I will be. So keep following. It's JJ. This is no BS. Now I got the long ride back home with no deer in the back of the truck.